very excited to continue the conversation. It's been a great conversation so far, a great room of investors, policymakers, corporate leaders, and we're going to continue focusing on a very interesting subsegment of this piece of the puzzle. My name is Dave Saxena. I'm a director of geopolitics and technology at Eurasia Group. We're a geopolitical risk firm. And one of the areas that we've been focusing on that intersects in terms of technology, climate, and geopolitics politics and trade is shipping. So that's the theme of this panel. I'm joined by two esteemed colleagues, innovators, leaders in their own right, Matt Sweetwood and Xiangheng Wu. To begin with, why don't we start, Matt, with you in terms of walking us through the technology solution that your company's founded on, and then we'll turn over to Xiangheng.
Thanks, Dave. Welcome everybody. Glad to be back in New York. Spent quite a big part of my life here in New York, New Jersey area. I am the CEO, Matt Sweetwood, of Greener Process Systems. Our company has modular technology which captures emissions. We essentially seal smokestacks with a hermetic seal. It's the first modular hermetic seal system that's existed. We're able to clean the air that comes out of a smokestack. I'll discuss a little bit what kind of smokestack in a sec, so that we take things out like NOx, SOx, volatile organic compounds, diesel particulate, and so on. Our system maintains the heat of the system, so it doesn't require any additional that's it, we're done. We have to leave. We're able to capture CO2 at the end of our system, and in many cases we can generate electricity off of the smokestack, which pays for the system, because as we know in this world, environmental systems, clean tech systems are very good, but when they are good from an economic perspective, you're more likely to implement them. Our systems go in factories here in this country. If you think of an aluminum factory, a steel factory, any kind of factory that has a heat-burning furnace, emits a flame, high pressure, we're able to generate, in many cases, millions of dollars worth of electricity that goes off into the atmosphere. Pivoting to maritime, we have a system which actually attaches to the smokestacks of cruise ships, of freighters, of tankers, brings them to zero emissions, and in many cases can capture CO2 and generate electricity. And this is a big issue, which we'll get to as we go on, air pollution and CO2 emission from the maritime. So that's it. We're really excited about our technology. We have patents on what we do. We're installing systems in Italy, actually our first maritime system, and we have industrial systems going here in the United States.
Fantastic. Very innovative. Xiangheng?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Xiangheng Wu. I'm the co-founder and CEO of company Emoji. Emoji is based here in New York City. I started the company roughly 3 years ago in Brooklyn Navy Yard, right across the bridge. That's where Emoji started in the very beginning. And today, Emoji has roughly 180 people with a presence here in Brooklyn, which is still the headquarters. And also, we are building up the manufacturing site in Houston. And we also have a couple of international locations in Singapore and Norway as well. And over the course of the last 3 years, the company has raised roughly $220 million from the investors, where the investors include Amazon's Climate Pledge Fund, Saudi Aramco Energy Ventures, DCVC, and some other strategic investors, as you can see from this slide. So at Emoji, we developed technology converting ammonia to power effectively and efficiently. So over the course of the last 5 years, people have been talking about ammonia a lot, especially in the maritime shipping, given its characteristics including high energy density and affordability and existing infrastructures, because we are using ammonia as fertilizer. But the biggest gap has really been around the technology, converting ammonia to power effectively and efficiently. So that's the technology that Emoji is introducing to the market for the first time. So our technology is the combination of ammonia cracking and conventional hydrogen fuel cell in the same integrated power system. So you take the ammonia, and ammonia becomes hydrogen intermediately, and hydrogen goes to the fuel cell to generate the power. So with this concept, with this technology, over the course of the last 2.5 years, the company has been demonstrating several different scale of the mobilities. In the very beginning, we demonstrated ammonia-powered drone, 5 kilowatt scale. That's what we demonstrated when the company had only 5 people, founders, essentially. Then the company started scaling up the technology, demonstrating 100 kilowatt scale tractor last year in 2022. And earlier this year, we demonstrated 300 kilowatt scale semi-truck powered by ammonia. This semi-truck has essentially the equivalent electric energy comparable to Tesla Semi, like the 500 miles and 10 hours of operation. But you can refill the tank within 7 minutes by taking advantage of the liquid fuel ammonia. And this year, we announced that we are retrofitting the tugboat, megawatt scale tugboat here in state of New York, Kingston area, 2.5 hours from here. So we are planning to demonstrate the world's first ammonia-powered zero-emission vessel using our technology in the next few months, which we are very excited for. And then moving forward, in 2024 and 2025, we are planning to implement our ammonia-to-power system in the commercial shipping so that we can finally start decarbonizing the large maritime vessels using our technology.
Fantastic.
I'm going to flip back to the...
Both novel solutions, different applications to a really important space. So let's begin just by understanding the evolution that you both went through as founders. Why this space, and both from a value proposition perspective, and you saw an opportunity to apply technology. Would love to understand that logic and how you went for it.
Well, I spent most of my career in more traditional businesses, and when you get to a point in your career when you have an opportunity to do something that makes a big impact in the world, try not to sound like a beauty pageant answer, but there's an opportunity, particularly if you talk in the maritime area, where port pollution is a major crisis in the world. Port pollution typically contributes to about 70% of the pollution in nearby cities. It disproportionately affects underserved communities. A typical freighter can emit the pollution of 20,000 cars every minute that it operates there with an open stack. And so this was technology that was very unique. It was, I would say, 15, 16 years in the development, our ability to create a hermetic seal on a stack. You have to realize when a ship is in port, even though the stack, it looks like the ship is stationary, it's not a stationary object. So we're creating a seal. We have systems on our technology that prevent back pressure on the engine and so on. But for me, personally, it was really an opportunity to make an impact on a problem that has existed since the beginning of shipping. And as the world has changed and there's more and more freighters on the water, more and more tankers on the water, we're exponential numbers over what it was 20 and 30 years ago. The pollution problem, the CO2 problem, and so on, import and from ships is enormous. So the opportunity to have a shovel-ready product, which is what we can install right now and to have a product that can make an impact today, not a 2040, not a 2050, we can actually do it today. For me, that was an opportunity that was too hard to pass up, and obviously, we're moving forward with it. So I'm really thrilled to be part of a new industry for me. Spent 30 years of my career in different industries, and this is really exciting. It's a new world we're in, and to have a company with this kind of technology that makes a difference today it's really amazing for me, just as an executive.
And it's in market now. It's been
in market now. That's right. So our system, we're going to be, like I mentioned before, we have our first maritime system going in a port in Italy, and we've been in discussions with ports all over here. It's always a funding issue, which we can get to a little bit, and so on. But our technology is ready to go in port and complementary to the technology that you present.
Sung-Hoon, your evolution, it's more of a very scientific application. We're not talking about software. This is
hardware,
hardware demonstration that's required, and obviously capital intensive in the sense that it required a bit more effort in terms of scaling it up and building it out. So how did you what was your journey into finding this solution and deciding to attack this space?
Yeah, looking at the shipping, and shipping is really the backbone of the global economy. We are moving probably more than 90% of the goods using the shipping, but it's not really visible. We focus a lot on the electrification using battery electric over the course of the last probably 2 decades. But the shipping and heavy industry have to be decarbonized so that we can truly reach the net zero 2050. So that was the problem that I saw in the beginning together with co-founders as we were starting this journey. And if you look at the shipping in a little bit more detail, shipping produces roughly 3% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And the bigger problem is it is only increasing. So if you are not taking action today, it is going to be roughly 10% in 2050. 1 out of 10 carbon molecules we see in the atmosphere could be coming from the shipping. So that was really the urgency and also immediate challenges that we have to solve that really drove myself and the other founder to really start the journey. And also, as we are starting this journey, we also are becoming more helpful because the industry is realizing the urgency and the problem, and the policymakers and regulators and also private sector companies are trying to work together to really tackle this problem so that we can reach 2050, the net zero 2050, which we're excited for.
And I'm curious just about the technology itself. Was that, did you developed it as a, like, where's the core IP? What's the genesis of that?
So yeah, I mean, we have 4 co-founders. I mean, all of us received PhD from MIT. We met at MIT back in 2014 and 15, but we also explored different industries. Myself, I was working for IBM before starting Emoji. IBM brought me to New York City, so I always appreciate that. And we had a different expertise, and one of the founders, who's the CTO of the company, he explored more in energy and ammonia sectors. But this whole technology, integrated solution, ammonia to electron, this is what Emoji developed since we started the company.
It's exciting because, I think that from a policy perspective, the need is certainly there. You talked about the market and also the emissions that's being put out from this space. We're hearing that there are technology solutions available. These aren't pipe dreams. They're actually in market. Hopefully there's capital here. Hopefully folks in the room can help with that. From a prescriptions perspective, though, if we agree that this is something that needs to be done, what would your recommendations be? Not just from government, because let's talk about policy solutions, but also from industry. What would your recommendations be? What more would you want to see to try to attack this space?
I think from my personal experience, having met with port directors, probably from 50 or 60 different ports, I think it's a little bit of who's going first and how we get it going. They now have port sustainability conferences. I was just at one in Tampa a few months ago. There were 300 port managers there, and the general discussion was kind of what to do next. Do we attack the trucking problem at ports, right? Because diesel trucks have an impact. What do we do with the ships that come in? There's varying regulation. I think ultimately what will drive the change in the maritime industry, fortunately or unfortunately, is regulation. I think without regulation, really not much is going to move, or it's going to move very, very slowly. But ultimately, it's an adoption issue. Who goes first? How do we do this? And we're early in the stage, so I believe that over the next couple of years, you will just see ports start to adopt and shipping companies start to adopt technologies like this. I just think it's a natural evolution that will happen because we're relatively new at this. So you just want to see some aggressive port managers, aggressive shipping companies go out there and say, we're going to do this, and just get it done.
I agree with what Matt said. And also, one positive change is though, International Maritime Organization, which is overseeing the entire rules and regulations on the shipping side, they just raised bar July 2023, this summer. Previously, the guideline was reducing the 50% of the CO2 by 2050, but now they raised the bar to be 100% CO2 reduction by 2050. So that is giving the pressure to local regulators and policymakers to really come up with the policies and regulations and also the subsidies so that the private sector can really move fast and faster. But really the challenge in the maritime shipping is the urgency, the lack of the realization of the urgency of the problem. Because once you make the boat or the ships and the vessels, they are going to be in the water at least probably 20 to 25 years. So essentially, if we want to reach net zero 2050, then all of the ships coming out to the water starting from 2025 has to be equipped with either zero emission solution or convertible to the zero emission solution so that we can really reach the net zero 2050. So that urgent and immediate actions are going to be necessary. Of course, that has to come together with collaborations, not just in the shipping side, like the port side, as Matt mentioned. Port community is also the huge challenge that we have to electrify and decarbonize on the way.
Sung-Hoon, you've got an impressive list of investors on the slide. Hopefully they're also helping with early adoption. I'm curious to get your thoughts on what feedback has been, what some of the barriers have been on early adoption, and if you were to try to talk to those potential prospects about onboarding some of these solutions, what would your advice be, or what would you like to see from them?
Yeah. First of all, we have a couple of investors joining this event as well, so I first want to appreciate their support and really believing in the company and technology from the very beginning so that we can grow the technology and really to grow the market together as well. So essentially, if you look at ammonia, for example, there's no ammonia-powered ship today So this is essentially creating the new market which is not existing today. Then company has to be, technology is important, but we also have to develop the whole market together with the other value chain partners. But by having the excellent investors together with us, who is supporting us really developing the whole value chain of the ammonia as a fuel, they really supported us really connecting the dots and making the partnerships and doing the collaborations with the important stakeholders in the industry, which gave us more confidence that we can really achieve the goal that we set from the beginning. So that's been extremely helpful, and we feel more positive about the future coming to the company. Mm-hmm.
Matt, final word on potential recommendations to prospects or potential adopters. What do they need to hear or think about to get over the line on onboarding some of these solutions?
I think for us, the fact that our solution provides a revenue stream really excites our potential clients. You know, as I mentioned to start, you can walk in with a solution, and if the solution is going to affect their business or the solution is going to cost a lot of money or be difficult to implement, less likely to do it. And in our case, we can even walk into a port and offer the ability to generate electricity in the port with our system. So to me, making them aware of that really creates a faster adoption. It's why we're sitting here after really 6 to 8 months of selling here in the United States. We have almost 15 contracts out already from companies interested in installing technology. And once again, it's related to generating revenue and in some cases actually just capturing CO2 and then getting the credits and so on that you can get from CO2 capture.
Fantastic. Well, two very clear value propositions from two very strong founders. So they'll be here all day. And thank you very much for your time, everyone.